about a round of applause. And our next speaker, that's the president of Adamant company, the silver sponsor of our event. We have the continuation of this section on internet governance, and the days of Ukrainian internet have also started yesterday and will finish the day after tomorrow. Now I will give the floor to Ivan Petukhov. Thank you. Thank you, Alexei. So I will not spare any more time on introduction. So I would like to begin this presentation in some informal way and to start this presentation with a joke. I don't remember who was the author of the joke originally, but the joke goes like this. There was a respected international community and they asked, where did you get such quick and cheap internet in Ukraine? And one IT person said that we have a ministry on internet development. And they say, no, you don't have. And yes, that's why we have a fast and cheap internet, because we don't have any ministry on that. So if we recall all the years we have, Maxim had told about the case of NetAssist, and I wanted to share the case of our country, which existed somewhere since 1990. It started from FidoNet, but in 1991 we started getting first nodes, and some of them were like predecessors of Adamant. So in the beginning there was no understanding of that until we got the famous Melnichenko tapes. So when the Melnichenko tapes were published on the internet, everyone learned that internet existed, and it was a very successful promo for the internet. People learned that internet existed and people could share some information in that. And one of the security generals told that if the finances were the blood of the state, then the internet was the nervous system of the state. So since early 90s, the state started to pay attention to the internet, but we were lucky that the people in the government simply did not understand what the internet was and what the threat to them was available to them. So on some systematic level, it started after Yushchenko's presidency, because Yushchenko did not have many generals in his surroundings, and they did not have any strong influence on them. But in the times of Yanukovych, we can recall the ill-famous loss of the 16th of January. I won't list all the details, but we had this attempt in 2009 to implement manual routing. But who knows how to do manual routing? Oh, there is one specialist, and maybe Alexei could be a wonderful candidate for the new Ministry of Digital Transformation. But Alexei already has some job, but the new ministry would gladly benefit from the experience Alexei has. So I don't know about the details of how it's gonna develop, but I decided to provide a more systematic presentation of this last 19 years of fighting against the system and the things that happened afterwards, after the rule of Yanukovych. You can see here in numbers. There were 83 drafts, and among them there were those total control draft, there were attempts of manual routing, etc. So the idea was we have a war in this country, so we have some trade on the blood, we have some kind of contraband, and so let us fight against that. And there were 29 initiatives over these 5 years, and fortunately the rest, the 54 initiatives, have not passed even the first stage of implementation. So here we have only 2 initiatives. Fortunately, since they were not developed, they have not passed the first stage, but still they make an interesting reading. And there was a new meme, which is digital slavery, and it was made popular on the internet. The progression was quite geometric. And here we have got one more draft, which is interesting because, for instance, it looks like the legacy of Yuhim Zveginsky, because, for instance, when in his times any decision was made about the agriculture, for instance, there was always a little clause that apart from the agriculture, we should also allow the import of like 200 cars without any taxes. And the right people were using this. Or, like, for instance, we could take care about the informational safety together with improving the municipal property. And so today I read a new initiative that was sent to me on Messenger, and that's a wonderful new initiative. So if people switch off the energy supply, and if you have switched to some reserve electric supply, you have to inform the Center for Communication Management. So you have to ask permission for that, because maybe people don't want you to have a reserve electric supply. So we have to go back to numbers from those drafts, and while we were attempting to earn some money, while we were fighting against those drafts, what was the development of all the civilized world? In 2018, the digital economy of Ukraine was about 4% only. Also, the Ukrainian army, which we fortunately still have, in 2013, we had about 6,600 internet service providers, and right now we have 6,300. So this is the index of global competitive economies, and this is our place, and the data provided by Ukraine, these numbers are quite sad as a rule. Now, let us look at another rating. We are ranked 54, and most probably nothing considerable happened between 2018 and 2019. This is misrepresented statistical information. So, in digital space, we are 58. let us see our level of development in other regions. This is a report on development of IT technologies. If you see the penetration rate of informational services on the websites of official institutions, well, it's incredibly small. And the Internet Association of Ukraine, a serious consulting company being involved, is producing this kind of rating. Speaking about the speed of the Internet, I don't know how exactly it was measured by NLab and others, but I would like to see those 100 addresses. So, was it something owned by Ukrtelecom or something in the rural area? No, that was about broadband access. And here is finally something positive. We are ranking first when it comes to the price of internet. It is the cheapest here, and also we are good when it comes to penetration. My estimates that it is highly above 64%, maybe somewhere in Carpathians, in the mountains. We have 2, 3, or more optic fiber connections in the villages. So what are the benefits here? You can see the connectivity, the traffic exchange points. 2 or 3 years ago we could not boast that, but as of now the connectivity is quite good. The number of traffic exchange points is quite high, so quite important players are available on this market. So this is one more positive slide. Ukraine is ranking 4 when it comes to IPv4 internet stability. So we need to speak a bit faster, so I'll skip some slides. I would like to discuss one more positive trend that's available, some old background that we have. I asked the World Bank to provide this slide to me. I assisted them to collect some data in Ukraine, and they agreed to do that. So we can have a serious cooperation in the project on 3 Cs, where Ukraine can become an Eastern European hub. It will provide jobs for everyone. It will enable the creation of powerful data centers, optic fiber, and Vodafone and one more company are already installing optic fiber in the direction of Turkey. So here in Ukraine we will be able to build a really good IT heaven, and there are some preconditions for that, but it depends on the providers and basically all the people in the IT, because otherwise the full transition of the country to the smartphone, this will be only about good intentions, which will not be backed by any real actions. And we want to avoid the situation which we had with our Ministry of Digital Transformation. I recalled 2005, where we had the so-called Orange Book, where we also had this intention for digital transformation, and or the Ministry of IT. 15 or 14 years have passed, and only already at the 15th year we are getting this ministry, and it's almost like in that old jokes that like two grandpas are discussing the pills they were taken 50 years ago at war, and the pills were intended to prevent them having sexual desire, and finally the pills started to work. So we should avoid the situation where the digital transformation is only happening theoretically. We really want our country to be in everyone's smartphone, and to make this a reality we need to work hard, every one of us. And I'm grateful to RIPE because this is a very wonderful trend here in Ukraine right now, because for the first time in the period of Ukraine's independence, we got the right to hold a regional RIPE meeting, and it will draw additional attention not only inside the country but also internationally. We have quite a strong civil society. You noticed how many harmful initiatives we were able to protect ourselves from, but our democracy is still quite weak, and not everyone knows how to govern the internet properly. So internet is becoming quite a complicated system for our officials. As Maxim has shared here, they want to ban everything, but for the things to move in the right direction, we are setting a very good trend, and our young democracy needs to get some methodological support. If they do not hear us from the inside, maybe they would hear someone from the outside. And I would ask our colleagues and management of RIPE NCC and other international organizations to support us in the development of free internet, so that the projects that are announced on the governmental levels are indeed fully implemented. And one more thing I would like to request from RIPE: we have lots of interesting ideas. Let us develop some kinds of events together with us and together with Ukraine. Thank you for your attention. If you've got any questions, please. Thank you so much. A question? Yes, please. Use the microphone and introduce yourself. I'm Natalia Yatenko, a sociologist. How should we deal with such a low index? Maybe the statistics was misrepresented, but what could be the indicators because of which we got such a low place? Well, we have the National Commission on Regulations of Communications, and also some draft legislations being developed. It depends on them. But couldn't we provide some hints to them? But this low index, this censorship which is being introduced, why are they doing this? If you permit, I will reply here. Tomorrow I will have a small presentation which will include some statistical data on Ukraine and the data that are collected by other organizations. In Ukraine, in major cities, everything is okay. The low indices are mainly caused by the rural areas, and you can understand that it is highly important to control the population of big cities, which is very active. So this low index is not in contradiction with the attempts to control civil activity, because representatives of rural areas, they seldom come to big cities and to express their political views. So you do not consider that this is just a myth about rural areas. I have my own opinion on this. Yes, we do not have clear statistics, and for quite some time the discussion was going on how to create those reports. And also, a couple of years ago, when the National Commission was taken the research that we were providing, for some reason it is profitable to them to show lower numbers of internet penetration. Well, that's because maybe this creates opportunity to attract more grants and to maybe deceive some investors. I do not see any other motivation apart from the economical motivation. So we had this situation when one of the GSM operators was being lobbied here in Ukraine, and they attempted to change the market in such a way to fit that operator. Also, even if we use data of now, let us, by the way, give the floor to the member of parliament, but even according to the official data, the internet access is available to 64 or 65% of people, depending on the quarter of the year. But see, in Western Europe, it is maybe 30% more. It's a bit inconvenient to be turned to the audience with my back. So again, I congratulate you on this event. We do not ignore this kind of events, and that's only because I had some event in the morning. I had to be late. Ivan Mikhailovich is not entirely sincere with you, although when I was the leader of the Internet Association of Ukraine, I had the demand from our participants to do it this way. The problem is, unfortunately, we do not have responsibility for the operator which not provides statistical data, and the regulator is not entitled to have any influence on the operator. Maybe later it can be found out, and there can be a small fine of 1.7 thousand hryvnias for the provider, but this statistics that is being collected is collected wherever possible, and we I do not understand why the regulators had to supply statistics to another governmental body. So actually we have two different sources, places of statistics, and once again the market players, the operators, the providers do not have any obligation actually to provide the statistics. So it works this way. The regulator collects the statistics for itself. The statistics is being provided to the state communication service, and then the statistics is being provided to the state body responsible for these statistics. Of course, this data is less precise than the statistics collected by the Internet Association of Ukraine, Yes, we have to change this. Yes, our operators and providers need to understand that for us to look good internationally and to have really good penetration of the internet in Ukraine, which is truly above 60%, we need to provide this statistics, because otherwise we will remain somewhere on the 81st place. So we need to find the faults in ourselves. So what was I'm insincere about? Well, I don't want to start a debate right now. Yes, indeed, we are pressed on time. So just 2 words, dear gentlemen. So actually in Ukraine, we've got some of the best internets in the world, and those who have visited every continent except Antarctica. It was maybe the best one until they introduced this website blocking. And when we are discussing the state regulations, we are again not fully sincere, because modern paradigm is to foresee what is gonna happen rather than to block. And in order to do that, we need to do the shift of perspective in the government. And I've been sharing this for 5 years already. So you are spending the time of the coffee break. Yeah, I'm a journalist that is also involved in the censorship issues. And the censorship started with the InfoStore incident. It started from the Yushchenko's presidency, and it never repeated again until the presidency of Petro Poroshenko. So when you mentioned that we are going to be able to develop a strong informational center here in Ukraine, where is the guarantee that they won't come again and take away the servers? There is a law on the reduction of the number of employees of the State Security Service and reducing the scope or reducing the mandate of the State Security Service. Alexander, this is the demand from the European partners, and we already heard working groups discussing this. So if Alexander, as a representative of the supreme governmental body of Ukraine, we are a parliamentary republic, so the parliament is the supreme body. If Alexander is saying that this won't happen, then maybe it won't happen. Okay, colleagues, let us stop the discussion here. I'm paying this attention that that's a hot issue. It is truly worth discussing, and I would foresee this as a part of some Ukrainian activities, or maybe even as a separate event, some roundtable discussion, or anything like that. RIPE NCC is ready to join if such a discussion is going to happen. We are ready to provide our employees, our participants for this discussion. This is surely a hot topic. We are ready to support your activities, and we truly hope that these activities emerge locally, and we will later support them. This is true for this topic and for other topics as well. Thank you, Ivan Mikhailovich. That was a wonderful session, wonderful presentation.